Welcome to the summit, Being Alive in the Heart of Life. And I can now introduce you to Canela Michelle Myers. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Susan. Thank you.
You help people, you guide them to see the truth for themselves, the true self or the true nature. And you've written a book, Right Here, Right Now, Meditations. And you
Yes,
have it right there to show.
I do. Yeah, it's right here. It's satsang invitations for expanding awareness. So that's for each and every person who reads it to expand awareness of who they are. So it's a series of invitations to look at what's actually happening in a person's life, both in a human, natural way, like watching TV or listening to something on a computer, as also in how it is that the stateless state is inviting each and every person to fall in with the realized or natural way of being fully yourself.
It's all about knowing the truth, but it seems like everything is the truth. Like in your book, you write about, yeah, it's all is truth. It's not like this is true and this is not true, and it's
Yes.
all of, yeah.
Yeah, I support people to include what appears here in each moment that we call a human being. Other teachers, they teach what they teach. But I've been told that it's a little bit different in that way, that there isn't any part of what's going on that isn't part of the truth. Oneness, in my opinion, is oneness. And so I support people to fall in with all the bits that appear to not be awakened, that these are actual invitations to fall in more clearly, more concisely with exactly what is truly going on. And how I do that is by supporting people to hear the energetic expression of what's going on. Because energy is just that word, it's neutral. It doesn't have a push, a pull. It's just plain old energy like this. So it's easier for people to hear themselves when there isn't an aversion to it, as if good, as if bad. There's no grabbing a hold of it if it's good, or pushing away if it's bad. But we can fall in with the energetic of pushing away or grabbing a hold and see what that feels like. And every time there will be a gift for the person who is listening to themselves. 100% of the time.
So it's like there's a gift in everything. It's well, life is a gift. Just
Yeah.
being alive is like, wow, amazing, this whole world and all these experiences, and yeah, it's beautiful, and it can also be very challenging, and there can be fear and
Yes.
sadness, and yeah.
Yeah. Because we're connected until all people are have fallen in love with themselves and in complete acceptance of who they are as a person, um, then we'll all hear bits and pieces of the human collective right where we are, because we're not separate. So in this way, we are moving together in this way of acceptance of however it is we show up as people. And whatever it is that appears to be in the way of that is actually an invitation from love to fall specifically, concisely in with that. Capital T.
It's, even though it can feel like strong emotions can show up when you really just let them
Yes.
expand, and you just let it be, right? It's like, ooh, it can
Yeah.
feel really strong and almost very heartbreaking and unbearable sometimes. So how do you stick in there? How do you?
Well, that's probably the main support that I offer, is when people get into these kind of darker places where it's a little harder because of the intensity of the energies that would naturally be something that they wouldn't want to really sit with, then they book a session and I can be with them in the felt sense, so they feel a little safer. I can feel what's happening within my system because I'm very empathetic, but I don't hear it as they hear it. I hear it, of course, how it's felt and heard within myself. But even that is a feeling of closeness, of withness with a capital W. So people feel encouraged and empowered to stay with what it is that's happening and really just be still with that so it can express itself, show itself, and be done, if it is, or at least that layer. And then under that is the gift of both empowering the person because they just sat with these intense energies. They can't erase that they did that. They know that they can. So the next time, if there's a next time, they feel more confident and able to be with whatever it is that's really going on in the moment.
And you write about, love contra fear. So that sounds like that's love to let it be there and feel it, and it's okay. You give it love in a way, right? By letting it be. And then other fear is like, no, I don't want this. You're pushing it away, distract yourself or run away from it, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Right? And it's like that pushing away or running away, that too is perfect because that's how we can find the push. And so in between the fear and the person will be the pushing. And so we can feel that pushing energetically. And as it's admitted, in other words, awareness floats with the felt sense of that, it does its part in pointing to whatever it does for the actual person listening. So it's always unique, always personal to the person. That's why it's not like a do this, do that, and this will happen. It's always facing the unknown because we don't know what love is up to until we do, by resting open to it. I like to call it love specifically because then it's easier to open to it. When you know intellectually, even though if it feels scary and unknown, when you know intellectually that this too is love, because it's all love, it's just a little easier to steady oneself in the storm, if you will, of the energetic expression, whatever it is that wants to be known or be set free.
So when you so basically life is like energy, and ever-changing energy that you're with and that you experience, you could say, or this
Mm-hmm.
body mind experiences. And it's, and whatever stories you tell about that and meaning you give it and purpose, and that's just kind of made up.
Well, it's part of it too, because even that we didn't make up. So I'm not one to say to people, oh, that's your story, let it go. I say, if there's a story, that means something's repeating. Let's bring the story up proactively and see what's happening in the system. What is really going on energetically? And as soon as that happens, then, it's like game on. You have like a little edge of a tapestry or a quilt. And then it's like you just pull one little bit of a string and then it starts to unravel. And the side effect can be that the story or the impact of the story, as if it's a something, then starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter. And it might be known in words, but there's no more energy to it. Therefore, no longer in the way, if you will, of the person hearing themselves more fully, more lightly, and more lovingly.
I can see how that can kind of dissolve the story, or it can kind of fall apart. Yeah.
Yeah, if it does. But usually, if it's held at all as a story, there's a reason. Love has a reason for that. If it repeats, anything in life that's kind of haunting, it's like that so that we notice it because love is getting our attention. It's always an invitation from love. And sometimes people have come to satsang, when I've offered groups around the world, and challenged that and said, okay, what about this, right? And it's always about real details. But this one story I'd like to share, if that's okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that a person was in satsang with Canela, which is what I call it, of course. And she said, if it's all love, then why is it here I am, I'm 7 months pregnant, and I've been diagnosed with cancer stage 4, that I may not even see she was pregnant with twins, my newborn twins. How could that possibly be loving? And so little by little, I supported her to look inside and see what was happening inside. First off, with fear, with anger, with a forsaken feeling. All of these are energetic displays. We can't say, I feel forsaken, without there being an actual forsaken energy inside. So all I do is deeply listen to what the person is sharing. And I can then support them to look to find that. And they find it. They always find it. Even if it's a numb feeling, we can still, and then they can rest with that. And together we rest with it. And then it comes forward and displays whatever it is there to display. And so that woman, by the end, was crying in gratitude about how much love she was being shown by these particular circumstances. It may or may not mean that the cancer would heal itself, that she would find her way, but that she found her way to how was it love? How is it love? Of course, it made it easier for her and her family. And there's why I do what I do. That's the support. I mean, am I doing it? I've been given this pathway. I've committed to it. And so here it is under my feet. But I can't help but support love in this way, that people can find how it is love for themselves out of whatever details are going on. And it's just easier to be with it that way.
Yeah, and something happens in the relating to one another, in the sharing between people.
Yes. Well, it lightens it for sure, right? Because you're no longer alone, as well as whoever it is that is speaking. When they share what's happening inside and voice it outside, that's an energy. So then it is shared with what appears here as the outside, and then they hear it newly back in. Awareness is aware of it newly in the sound of the words that they themselves have spoken. So again, they're even kind of with themselves doubly, and it takes the edge off as if we're alone with what's going on. So just the sharing itself is already so valuable and precious. And I can invite people. You can even do that in a mirror. Go in front of the mirror and share what's going on while you look and breathe into your own eyes, and that can be quite helpful, supportive.
Yeah, and saying it out loud helps. And how about, for example, nature and animals? And let's say you're not around any people. Is that going to help? Or that's a sharing too. It's just not people.
Absolutely, it's all of it's a sharing. Whether it's the sound of a foot falling on concrete pavement, or the sound of a wave slapping against the water or the shore as waves come in, or the wind whistling through the trees. Some aspects of nature, like birds and the ocean and trees, the felt sense of that movement, they're very supportive and quieting to just let that come in. That's why it is, because it's completely natural. A tree is not holding itself back from being a tree. Not that humans who hold themselves back are wrong. That's love, or even infinity holding itself back because there's something that wants to be known. So it's held until we turn around and open to this and receive whatever has been held for us, the gift.
Yeah. And also pain, like for example, physical pain, you also write about how you can breathe into that and just feel it. It's because it's not going to get worse, the pain.
It's already here. You're right. Exactly. To just fall in with that, right? Capital W, capital T, with that which is. So that which is showing up as pain. It's here too. It already belongs because it's here in existence if you are aware of it. So I like to invite people to find where the pain is happening, fall in, let awareness float with where that is going on, what that actually feels like, what is the experience, not to think it, to feel it, to rest with it. And then to change that word on the energetic display of whatever's going on and let go of the word pain and just see it as energy. It's just a little easier to be with because there's a collective aversion to the word pain.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier to rest with if it's relabeled, if you will, or the container can shift to what's also true, that it's energy. It's not to dismiss that it's pain or say that it's not. That's true as well. But we can use the word energy for the same energetic display. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense. And you can still, of course, look into how to take care of that pain in various.
It'll show up. Yeah. Yeah, the magic of who we are. We know we're our own best shaman, magical being. We have all the resources ourselves because we're the ones that have been given ourselves to be. So our outlook, our way is absolutely, absolutely right. And if there's doubt about that, there can be ways that we call in others to support us to find what is true for ourselves. Right? It's fine to be supported as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot about being honest in like what arises in you, around you, like be honest with what is happening. Yeah, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your stories, everything, your interactions, relationships. It's about like being open and honest with what is going on and go with the flow of it and not resist it.
Well, even resistance is part of what's here, but we can rest open to resistance as well. Because any idea of how it's supposed to be or what flow looks like or anything can sometimes create an idea of how it's supposed to be. But we'll feel it. So there's resistance. Oh, okay. So we don't need to go past the resistance to wherever it is that we're wanting to explore. We can then rest with the truth of the moment, which is resistance is here. And then open to feeling, what does this particular flavor of resistance feel like right now? Breathe. Feel ourselves held by gravity because it still remains a constant up until now, that we can feel ourselves being held by Mama Earth and relaxing open and let ourselves feel, what does resistance feel like in this moment? Even if we felt it a million times before, it's always new, and this moment is the one where the truth is.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when there is something, and then the mind can also come in and say, oh yeah, now I really have to just be with this and feel it so that it can go away or be solved, or right away we can attach that goal.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's finding that, what does it feel like to have a goal? Right? And it's okay. It's okay. We're not the ones doing this. This whole program that's called the Human Collective, that's been going on long before we were born and will carry on as long as the human species carries on, or maybe beyond that if we're interplanetary people. Um, there's so much that is possible in the universe. Um, but the part that's the same for everyone is right here, right now. You are experiencing whatever you are, including the thoughts, including the sensations, including the emotions or whatever. I like to call all of it energy because that's what it actually is, at its base note. And it's floating in with that and being with it. And I call that being intimate with yourself,
Mm.
right? And when a person is intimate with themselves, they can then naturally be more intimate with others. And then it really affects our relationship with ourselves, with others, with the world, all of it. The more intimate we are with ourselves, in honesty, as you said, Susan, which is so true, to be that honest and that vulnerable and admit to ourselves what's truly going on and bow to that, to surrender to it enough to just feel it, let it express itself. And we're the ones it's been given to because we're the ones that get to hear it or be aware of that, whatever it is.
And exactly, that sounds like, yeah, it's beyond the mind's understanding of it, or it's beyond any beliefs. It doesn't matter what you believe in. If you're with what is and what arises,
Yep.
it's nothing to do with beliefs.
Well, unless there's a belief present. Even a belief has an energy. So we can find that belief and rest with that, with curiosity, not touching it, just going, out of all possibilities, here's a belief. Look at that and see where it rests in the system, whether, what appears here as a body. I like to invite people to allow the mind to kind of fall back into the spine because there is no location for the mind. It just is sort of a pattern that people look up in this area because that's where thoughts seem to land and we hear them. But we can then also let the mind come down into the spine so it's sort of more with the whole aspect of who you are. And then it's seeing and participating from there in its own way of identifying what's going on. But instead of identifying and making it into a thought or a new something, it's just identifying so it can be cognizant or conscious of what is happening, which is its true reason for being. To just simply be able to support us to be with what is.
Yeah, and that curiosity of everything that arises, don't deny any of it, just say yes to all of it. That's you also write about in your book. And the curiosity of, what is this now? And it's okay, you can be here. And
Yeah. And the whole thing, when people play with this and they get more and more adept with being what appears as the interior landscape equal to the exterior, right? So we've been trained to be aware of what's out here and then looking back at this and judging it as if it should be this way or that way. All of that's natural. Totally. It's just how we're given something to play with, because without some sort of something to compare with, we are nothingness in nothing. There is no experience at all. The void is actually an annihilation of all energy, of everything, without any caring, without any, it's complete emptiness. And out of that complete emptiness comes an experience. What a gift. What a gift. We get to experience something. And so these that seem like problems are really just to give us a relative experience. We can know what holding feels like compared to the let go. it's harder to find the feeling of freedom without some sort of something to compare it to know it.
Yeah, so the no thing, the nothing is the everything, and it is the everything that keeps changing, and this changing happens in the body, minds, and the world. And
Yeah. And we need that change so we can find ourselves here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be experiencing anything.
yeah, it comes with experiencing change.
Well, it's like, it's all relative. Like the air comes up to where the skin is. That's what helps to find that there's something actually in energetic expression. It looks like it's solid, but we already know it's not. But it's relative to the air. Somewhere the skin started, and then somewhere the air also, right? And there's no separation. They meet, same as the teeth inside the mouth. That's what gives it definition as being part of existence. So that's the same as thoughts, as discomfort, fear, pain, confusion, all of it.
Yeah, and it's all okay. It's all
okay. And if it doesn't feel okay, that's an invitation. We can say, okay, what is love up to with this? So I've done this in a fairly extreme way of having been raped in the past. And so I bravely looked and said to life, how could this possibly be love? And bit by bit, little by little, in exploring the energetics to bring those experiences to harmony within myself. So there's no more blame, there's no more victim. Without a victim, there is not a perpetrator. Does it mean somebody didn't do those things? No, it just means there's no more energy around that. I'm no longer haunted. I have sat with and allowed all of the gifts, and they'll be ongoing because I can't change and go back and undo what happened. So there'll be more layers, and especially as I support other people who have experienced violent experiences, more as I expand will come. And so then I get stronger and more empowered to support people even more strongly, even more empoweredly, and support them to be stronger and more empowered. And so it goes.
Yeah, because often I've heard, well, all these things that happens, but it's happening for no one, but it certainly feels like it is happening for someone.
Exactly. And it's someone, and it's this part of the oneness has been given these particular experiences to come to harmony with. That's what freedom is. And as we meet those energetics that have been held specifically for us because of whatever it is we've experienced, whatever parents we had, whatever ancestry we've had, right? All of that, whatever it is that comes here naturally and is held, when we open to that energy and allow it to come, and we are shown what it's here for us as love, that energy becomes a free moving part of the expression of infinity, such as we are, you are, or I am. So this someone becomes more clearly settled and seated in each moment. It empowers and strengthens the energetic display of what's here because it's no longer spending any energy on holding back. It's freely moving more and more and more.
Yeah, that sounds very, the free flow can happen.
Yeah.
And then this someone kind of also dissipates with that in some ways, not as strongly there holding on.
Yeah. More spacious and also more embodied. So the expression becomes somewhat magnified, or it seems and feels like it's more full of power because you've given that power to yourself, but it's not a power that you can utilize in any kind of againstness. It's a power of love, and
Yeah.
it's felt. Right? Sometimes people hear my voice in an interview and they just follow that. They don't even know what's going to happen, but they can feel the love and support in the voice, and that is because I gave that to myself. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Beatles song, you know, all you need is love. Yes.
Absolutely. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and
And
it's here for us. It's here for us. It's so here for us. But we need to just, the invitation is, it's not even a need, and it is a need as well, to relax open to hearing the love right here. It's here for us. In satsang on Sunday, someone unraveled some energy within themselves. It's not unraveling like they unraveled it, but what they did is they sat with the energy and it unraveled itself, and they heard it, felt it, received it. And then as they received that and opened to that, then they could feel how love itself is holding their body, holding their system, just where they are for no reason, unconditionally. We do not do anything to be held by love. It's already here. And of course, I love supporting people into that.
yeah. Oh, well, thank you so
Yeah,
much. What was your
absolutely.
website? So,
It's canelamichelle.com, and my YouTube. I've been putting out some more recent videos from satsang. Is into and out of the blue, or yeah, Canela Michelle Myers YouTube uh, station. Anyway, you can subscribe there. It hasn't been, I'd like to really invite it to be more alive, and to click the little bell so you're notified, because I am creating more videos, and so it'll be much more active there. I
uh-huh.
invite people there. Mm-hmm.
And canelamichelle.com.
That's right. That's the website where to find me if you want to book a session or invite me to offer satsang anywhere once that sort of stuff is more available as far as traveling goes. Yes, please, universe, we're inviting that. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
Wonderful.